to say it for you or anything like that, or explain the situation, or, you know, where you were at that moment when you just made a decision. Do you want to tell everybody about that?
Sure. I mean, there was probably two moments, really, two significant moments in my life. One was when I was 19 and I was living in the teen home, you know, after I'd spent some time homeless. And I just made a decision at that point that I didn't want to continue in that path. I saw how things were going for other people in my situation. And I just made a decision that I wanted to do something different and make something happen for myself. And I knew at that moment, I just wanted to create a better life for myself. And I couldn't really wait. Every single day I got up early, and I decided that my job at that point, even though I didn't have a job or I didn't have any employment, that my job at that point was to get a job and to work towards something and to achieve something. And so that was a significant moment to really, I just decided I'm going to turn my life around. I'm going to do something about it, and I'm not going to stop until I've achieved what I want to achieve. And I guess today I'm still working towards that. I'm not, I'm never going to be done. I'm never going to be finished. I'm still wanting to achieve more. But I guess now the other significant moment came right before I wrote my first book, and I'd sold one of my businesses and I had some time on my hands and just really thinking about what I want to do next and what makes me happy. So I guess that I had a choice at that point of really just doing whatever I wanted to do. And I kept thinking over and over for a few weeks, thinking what would make me happy? What is it that would make me happy? And helping others really was all I kept coming back to, was that I felt the most content, or that I was achieving the most when I was helping other people. So that really led me to write the first book, because I just thought that would help others to put my story down and show other people what I've achieved and how to think slightly differently. I guess it's that a lot of what I do is teaching people how to think differently. It's not teaching people necessarily just skills and techniques. It's really how to see opportunities and to think differently. It's a state of mind, like you said. It's really just a state of mind, and it's not an easy thing to maintain, I must admit. And one of the reasons why I wrote the book was for myself, because I have doubts. I have, those moments when I'm feeling maybe slightly more negative, or I'm not sure how things are going to pan out, or I'm questioning my choices or what's happening at that particular moment. And just looking back at my own story and thinking about what I've done and how I've achieved it, it's helpful to me too. It's not just, I'm not perfect. I still have those moments when I doubt myself, or I'm doubting certain choices, or, things that I've decided to do, or opportunities that I thought would be good and haven't turned out exactly the way I wanted to. And what do I need to do to turn it around? And you do need that. You need to really continue that. It's not something you can just switch on and leave it on. It's something you have to kind of work on and maintain.
And so that moment, what do you think was that different way of thinking than, because I think all of us think, oh, you know what, I'm going to do this. And then it's not like it's imprinting or something, like really by your actions, or what is it that made the difference? I'm sure before that moment, when you made that decision to do that, you actually still in your mind thought about really making it happen. I mean, is that something that you're able to describe?
I guess it's just not letting go until you've achieved it. It's just making sure you just keep at something, and knowing that the path might change. So it's just keeping that end goal in sight. There's always different ways of getting somewhere. And sometimes there's roadblocks and things that are in your way, and you just have to find a different way. But just keeping that goal in sight. I guess on a slightly lesser level, going back to talking about selling, there were times when I had started my first business, and I was 22 years old when I started my first business, and I'd been given a redundancy check from my employer, and I was thinking, right, I'm going to use this money. I basically had enough to pay my rent and bills and all that kind of stuff for I think 2 months. So I knew I had 2 months to go out and make some money. And I was probably about 6-7 weeks into this, and I was thinking, okay, I've achieved a lot, but I haven't actually sold anything yet. And I had some meetings lined up, some sales meetings lined up. And the first one I went to, I was thinking, okay, I'm not leaving here until I've sold something. I'm not leaving this meeting. I'm going to sit in this meeting until I've sold it. And I actually going to get a check in my hand. And I actually thought I'm not going to leave here without a check in my hand. So it wasn't just I was going to sell it. I'm going to close and I'm going to walk out of here with a check.
Yeah.
And I just made that decision before I even walked in the door.
And
I went in there and and I walked out of there with a check in my hand.
Okay, that is amazing. I like that. I mean, that's what it takes, that determination of just like, you know what? It's going to happen today and I feel it.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. I'm not going to, and I've been into, since then, I've been into sales meetings where I've turned up and I've been tired and not prepared. And I've walked out of sales meetings thinking I could have sold that. I could have walked out of here with a check, but I didn't make that decision before I walked in the door. I wasn't prepared to stick it out and do what was necessary and make sure I closed until I walked out with a signature on the contract or a check in my hand. I didn't make that decision before I walked in, and I wasn't prepared, and I let myself down. I've wasted my time. I could have walked out of here with a check in my hand, and I didn't. And so that's happened since then. And I always try now to make sure that if I'm on that sales call, if I'm in the meeting, if I'm there and I'm selling what I'm doing, like I said, it doesn't always mean that you're selling to a potential client. It might mean that you're selling a concept to an investor or to a bank manager for a loan or anything like that. And I just think, you know what? I have to make that decision when I'm staring at the door, just about to walk into the meeting. I need to make that conscious decision. I'm not leaving here until I get what I want. And it doesn't matter what I have to say, how I have to say it, how many times I have to repeat myself. And it doesn't matter how hard I have to close. I am not walking back out of this door without what I want.
Okay. And I think one other key point that you mentioned, your other significant moment, was when you decided what would make you happy. And I think a lot of success is driven around what makes us happy. That's what helps us to pick out what it is we want to be, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be a nurse, or, I don't know, selling books, or whatever you want to be, a surfer, whatever it is. I think you have to first find out what that is that will make you happy, because you spend most of your day, a lot of your nights, your thoughts, everything that you're doing this one thing. And so I think that's a key point, I think, that you're making. It's like, what is it that makes you you,
Yeah. And I think also it's people need to believe in you. I mean, you're friends with me on Facebook. I mean, we're connected. You're not just liking my pages and things. We're actually friends on Facebook, on my personal Facebook account. And you know what I'm like. I'm very, very honest.
Yes.
And I hold nothing back. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and that's just the kind of person I am. So I think when that honesty comes out in people, this is the thing we've lost a lot of now, I think, in sales and marketing and business, is that people think that they need to create this image and speak to people in a certain way and have this kind of business face and a front. And we're naive to think that other people don't see that.
Yeah, so true.
Of course they see it. We see it. Everybody sees it. So if you're not honest with people, people see that, and people question that, and they think that the last thing you want is for somebody to be thinking, oh, this person's just selling to me. They're only telling me this because they want to sell to me.
Yeah,
and
like you were mentioning
that's the last thing you want.
Like when you were mentioning before,
you need people to know that you're honest.
When you were saying, like, you don't want to sell something to somebody unless it's truly going to benefit them. That's a part of your reputation and a part of what makes somebody feel like they can trust you. If I'm selling, some pens that they're going to dry up in 2 days, but I don't care. And I tell them they're going to last forever, lifetime, pens or whatever. It's like, obviously, if you continue to do that just for that bottom line, that the dollar, that, then people are going to start to figure that out and not trust you at all. And then you're going to fail.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. And for example, selling real estate, I mean, the easiest, probably the things that people use all the time, when selling real estate is that they're selling an investment. So it's one of the easiest things to use when you're selling anything to anybody, is that something's an investment. Because if something's an investment, people will borrow whatever they need to. If I say to somebody, you invest 10 grand in this and I'll get you 20 grand back, people will borrow that money. They don't care. They'll put it on their credit card. If they think that you're telling the truth, if they believe in you, that that's a genuine investment, they'll borrow the money from wherever they can. They won't care, because if they think they can double their money, they will get the money. They would get it from wherever they can. So selling an investment is one of the easiest things to sell if you can sell it effectively. And so selling homes and real estate is that thing. You should, if you're not selling it in that way, you should be, because it is one of the easiest selling techniques, is selling an investment. But if someone's questioning you, if someone's really thinking, you know what, they're just telling me this because they want to sell it. If you don't genuinely believe that it's a good investment for that person and they don't believe you, then you've lost the sale. You have to believe it. You have to believe that that is a genuine investment for that person, and they have to believe you when you tell them.
I agree. And you know what? And the second that you let them down, not only did you just let them down, but every single person that they're going to talk to. So it's really important. And if you've also helped them out, they're gonna be telling all their friends, hey, guess what? I just doubled my money. I just made money. How'd you do it? Well, then that's where you get your great referrals. It's
Sure.
word of mouth. And just like you said, people being friends, a lot of people don't understand that when you start marketing yourself in whatever business it is, it starts with your circle, your inner circle. It's just like the closest people around you. They're the ones that trust you the most. So they know your character. They know, hey, if she really believes in this, I believe her. It's kind of like whatever a person is talking about, it just kind of depends on who you hear it from. If I'm walking through a grocery store and I just hear somebody talking about something, you don't have as much interest as you would with somebody that you totally know or trust. And so it starts there and then it just spreads out.
Yeah. And also, we all make mistakes.
True.
We can't always predict what's going to happen. So you could genuinely believe that a certain property would be a great investment for somebody. And, we could have another credit crunch or another problem. There could be another housing crisis or something that would create a situation that you can't predict. So that investment turns out to be a pretty bad investment for somebody. But if you're honest and it's a genuine mistake that you've made and it's no fault of your own, people will let you off. People won't criticize you for that. If somebody questions you, if they feel that they're not sure whether you're telling the truth or not, and something happens that's completely beyond your control, you'll be the first person that's going to get blamed because that they just didn't trust you in the first place. If they 100% trust you, if there's something that's beyond your control and you genuinely believe that it was a good investment and it doesn't turn out to be a good investment, like I said, we all make mistakes. Everybody does. You can't give people everything all the time, and you can't be correct 100% of the time. But if it's a genuine mistake, people will let you off. They won't be criticizing you. They won't be bad mouthing you. It's about knowing your own talents and what you really want to achieve and what you believe in, and being honest with people. And if you can project that effectively, you will always do well, and people will always speak well of you, even if some of the aspects of your character might not be to everybody's taste. You might not have the same political views or whatever it might be. But if someone trusts you, if you're honest, you'll get recognition for that, especially in selling.
And that's another thing, too, that I totally agree on, too, is by being honest, it's also holding yourself accountable. Like if there is a mistake, it's like, don't try to blame everybody else. It's really good to take responsibility for things and admit when you're wrong and say sorry or whatever it is, or do whatever you can to help correct the situation. All those efforts and those moments of being a completely real person, of truly caring what affect your business decisions or guidance or whatever it is that you're doing at that moment, all of those things add up to people feeling like, ultimately they're still being taken care of. No matter how the situation
Yeah.
turned out, there's this level of sincerity from the person that they're working with, which is yourself, you know. And
Yeah,
so I think
genuinely.
that's
I think that
important too.
that's yeah, very much. I think if you're good at what you do and you make a mistake, or there's genuine or something that's beyond your control that you can't do anything about, if you're good at what you do, you can always turn that around. You can always help that person to get back on track. You can, for example, if we're talking about real estate investments, if somebody made an investment in a property and it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to, you can then help them maybe make another investment which has also a good chance. And you can turn things around for people. You can. And I think if you genuinely care, that's the main thing. If you care about it, if you walk away from somebody and say, well, I don't really care what happens after this, I've closed the sale, I've got the check, I've got the commission,
Right.
whatever it might be, and then walk away, and you don't care what happens to that person after that, then again, it's a problem, because they will tell others that you didn't care. All you cared about was getting that commission check, and after you got it, you didn't follow up, you didn't check whether they're okay, you didn't take any notice of them when they complained, or things didn't work out for them, and you didn't care after that, or you tried to avoid the situation. That's another thing. Good people sometimes don't like the criticism, or they're not quite sure how to handle it, and they want to turn their back on it because they're afraid of it, or they're worried about dealing with that. And that's not necessarily showing a bad person. It's just that they're not quite sure how to deal with it. But if you take ownership of it and you just bite the bullet and say, okay, I'm going to deal with this in the best way I can, 9 times out of 10, you can turn it around on the second, on your second attempt. If you work with that person, you talk to that person, you work out what it is what went wrong and how you can actually fix it, and not be afraid of it. Even though it's embarrassing sometimes, you just have to do it.
Right.
And I think that says a lot about you as well.
Right. Because sometimes, okay, if somebody's feeling upset with you, right, and the moment that you go there and you just say, listen, I'm sorry, it was my fault, and whatever it is, instantly it kind of changes the attitude of the person that you're working with. Because then they get a little bit like softened up about whatever it is. So it is always best to just head it straight on and just be like, all right, here's the deal. I messed up. This is,
If you look at it from your own perspective as well, always look at it from how you would react.
Right.
So if somebody screwed up with me, if somebody sold me something that I didn't, that went wrong, or it didn't really work out in the way I wanted it to, and I was angry with that person, if they come back to me and just said to me, what can we do to put this right? Immediately, I've lost my anger, and actually I'm thinking, okay, what can we do to put this right?
Exactly.
And actually I do want to work with this person to put it right. So, and if I want to work with this person to put it right, I can't just be angry. I actually do need to have a conversation with them, and I'm actually happy that they've come back to me and asked me what we can do to put it right, and we're having a conversation, and my guard is now back down again, and I'm not aggressive and I'm not angry, and we all would react the same way. So that's really all you need to do. Just go back to that person and say, what can we do to put this right?
So when you're doing your seminars, or, you're dealing with the public, what is one of the main questions that people ask you on how to become successful in their business? Is there like a common question or a frequently asked question?
I think probably the most common question is, I guess, the most common problem, I guess, is people who have started a business and they're struggling to keep the cash flow going. They will get some clients in at first, and they will have some success or limited success, and they just don't make enough money. So I guess it's that cash flow issue. How can I make more money? I guess that's probably the most common thing. And how can I keep that steady? So there's a lot of businesses have that roller coaster where you get some, you get the commission in, you make a sale, you get that in, and then you might have 6 weeks before you get something else in, and maybe might even be longer. And so you get those dips where you're not making as much money as you want to, and sometimes those dips go on for a bit longer than most people would want. And people want to smooth that out. They want a more level income. So it doesn't necessarily mean they want to make more. It's just they want to level it out so that they're earning consistently. I guess that's often the most
And
most
so
common
how
thing.
do you usually address that question? What type of advice
Well,
do you give them? I mean, I know it depends on the type of business, but is there a general answer that helps
well, it's
most
about
businesses?
really it's about making sure that your sales pipeline is consistent. So you're feeding leads into your sales funnel on a consistent basis, and you're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with those leads in a consistent way. What often happens is, especially if you're a one-man business or a one-woman business, is that you get a lot of leads in, and then you spend a lot of time dealing with those leads, and then you make a sale or you make a couple of sales. But while you're dealing with that, you're not consistently feeding the leads into your sales funnel. So when you finish that, or that comes to an end and you've closed and you've got your commission check in, then you've got to start again. And so you get this cycle. Instead of consistently putting the leads into your sales funnel, you've got kind of a stop-start situation with the leads process. So, for example, actually, it's a really good example. So, if you write a book, so I've been helping people to write books, and especially first-time authors, people that think they can't write a book, and people that really want to know how to do it from the very beginning. And I created a formula when I wrote my business series, because my first book I kind of wrote in a very messy way and I had a lot of time on my hands. It was kind of a painful process because I'd never really done it before. But me being me, I created a formula to actually put the books together. And I've helped people to use the same formula for writing books and also for promoting the books. Having a book out there to establish that credibility and authority in what you do, it helps you to create those consistent leads that you're feeding into your sales funnel. It's all those little things that you can do to just create that consistency. So the leads are going to your sales funnel all, on a consistent basis using social media. Again, there's certain techniques that I use for creating leads through social media, either on Twitter or Facebook, or now Instagram is another good one that I'm using at the moment. Mm-hmm. And using certain tools that you can actually automate. So you don't have to put a lot of time into it. It's just making sure that you follow certain rules and formulas and you're doing it on a consistent basis, and you can automate a lot of it. But it just means that those leads are going into your sales funnel on a consistent basis, and it's not reliant on you doing it. It's just happening in the background, and those leads are coming to you all the time. So you can keep just churning that over and making sure that you're speaking to people on a regular basis and you're getting new people into your sales funnel and your sales pipeline. And if you can do that on a consistent basis, a lot of the time it's by automating it. And again, a book is another good example, because people are going to be buying the book and reading the book while you're sleeping. So
Right.
It's not reliant on you answering questions or selling yourself or selling what you do. All of those things are happening while you're not even aware of it.
True.
And that's what you really need.
And not only that, but a lot of the questions that people would have are right in your book. So, I mean, you're actually helping a lot of people just by having that book out there, because if they're looking to you for answers and you're not always available to answer them, if they get your book, they're the answers most likely that they're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember years ago talking to somebody who was a relationship counselor, and they said that often the best way of communicating with somebody is to write a letter, because they can't interrupt you.
I agree.
And they have to sit there and read it, Mm-hmm. And a book is very much like that, is that communication with a potential client where you don't get interrupted,
Yes.
You don't get distracted or interrupted. You've written everything you want to say about what you do and how you do it and what your history is and why you're good at what you do. And you've put it all in writing, and they sit down and read it from cover to cover. By the time they come to you, you've already sold yourself to that person without you even being aware of it. And it is that same kind of thing. It's the fact that it's all there in writing and it's happening without you being aware of it.
Matt, we actually have a caller during the real estate show. We actually have on the second half of the show, we allow realtors to call in and pitch their properties. So if you don't mind, I'm going to give just a couple moments here to the caller to actually pitch their property. And so just hold tight for just 1 second, and so we'll take our caller. Sure. Thank you, Matt.
We have Kara.
Hi, Kara. Thank you for calling into the Safari Real Estate Show.
Hi, Lori.
Hi.
So I have a few listings I was going to pitch, but the newest one is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 800 square feet, but it seems a little bit bigger. It's not exactly 800, it's right around 800. Seems a little bit bigger in Lincoln.
Oh, great.
Super cute. The sellers really did a lot of stuff to make it like updated and upgraded and all that.
Is this the one on D Street?
It is on D Street.
Awesome. I saw your listing. Good job marketing.
To D Street. And there is, on my Facebook page and Realtor Cara page, there is a 3D virtual tour, if anybody would like to check that out.
And I just want to point out on that listing, it is a phenomenal location because right across the street, you have your baseball games, you have the carnivals, fireworks, everything. The parade goes right by. It is a great spot.
Yeah, you can watch the fireworks sitting on your front porch.
Yep.
And they're redoing that whole park, courtesy of William Jessup. They're redoing the ball field.
Awesome. So your next listing then?
And then the other one is, or next one is New Airport Road. That's 12440 New Airport Road. The house that was taken all the way down to pretty much the studs in a wall and then rebuilt. So it's 2150 square feet of everything upgraded and new and top of the line. 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. You actually have 2 masters, and it's on almost half an acre.
Nice.
Very, very nice.
And what's the price on that one?
$495.
$495. And do you have another listing?
I do. I've got almost 10 acres, just shy of 10 acres, out at Campfire West for $107,000.
Okay, that's nice. And does it have a well or septic or anything like that?
It has a well that is capped, and it does not have a septic yet.
Okay, great.
And you actually back up to, it's not BLM land, but it's the same thing. There's another name for it. And then the lake. So you don't end up with neighbors behind you, and if you built, decent house, you probably have a view of the lake.
Do you want to give out your information so that people can get a hold of you?
Yes. My name is Cara. My last name is Tretherick-Kaler. I'm with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate in Auburn, although I live in Colfax. And I work the Valley as well, and I'm at 916-223-5337.
Well, good luck for selling your homes and your land. And I just want to say thank you so much for calling in and being a part of the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye. Thank you, Matt. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay. Awesome. So basically, we were talking about the book. And I really think that writing a book, I think, is a great idea for a lot of people. Do you recommend that for everybody or just certain businesses?
You know what? I think I don't think it matters even if you're in business. I think even if you just got that kind of career that you're good at what you do and just really documenting your story and why you're good at what you do. It just creates that credibility and authority in what you do.
Right.
That it just makes it easier for you going forward to sell what you do. So it doesn't even matter whether you're in business or whether you've just got a career going on, to actually put your story out there, really makes a difference, I think. But yeah, anybody in business, I think it can really make a difference. Even if nobody reads your book, but you've got on your email signature, best-selling author in real estate or whatever your business field is, just having that kind of really just says a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people who come and talk to me who've never read any of my books. They just know that I'm a best-selling author in business or in selling. And it's amazing how many people would just say, yeah, just come and talk to, at the Microsoft event that I spoke at last year. It was all of the European, Africa, and Middle East sales and marketing team that had an event in the UK, and they invited me to be the keynote speaker there. I don't think they'd even read my book. They'd just seen that, they'd seen my story, the background. They'd followed me on Twitter for a while, one of the directors at Microsoft, and they invited me to go and speak at their event. I don't think they'd even read my books. So it's just that, just knowing somebody is a best-selling author in their field, it just creates that buzz or credibility, like I said, that you can just use it for almost anything,
Well,
and
for me,
it just makes your life so much easier for selling what you do.
I agree. And for me, like, it really felt like I was getting to know you. I know that seems weird, like from maybe your stance, like when people read, especially How to Be Lucky, I seriously felt like, hey, I kind of know this person. And it's a way to get personal with whoever it is that you're looking for to mentor you or whatever without,
Sure.
you're not always offered that time like, hey, we're going to go have coffee or we're going to go do this or go do that. But this is a way to intimately kind of know somebody and how they started and where they got. And I mean, I loved that book that you wrote. And I really felt like,
Thanks.
You're welcome. And I really felt like you shared some things that really, hit home with everyone. I mean, everybody has to start somewhere. They do. And where you have brought yourself to is just such an incredible story. I love that book, and it makes every other one of your books so interesting, and I want to read them all because of that initial book. And so I think it was a great decision.
I think the thing is, most people think that my story is special or they don't have anything to say. And the truth is, everybody has a story.
I agree.
This is the truth. I'm not special. I'm really not. This is the truth. I am not special at all. Everyone can do what I've done. That is the truth. And a lot of what I do is helping people to realize that. And especially with helping the people that I've helped over the last few years into writing their own books and putting their own books out there, is to make them realize that they all have a story too. And that it's amazing how many people have come to. I was speaking to somebody recently, just took on a client recently who wanted to write a book, but she wasn't sure what to write about. And as soon as I started talking to her, I said, okay, just tell me a bit of your background and how you started in your particular business. And she's been fairly successful in her business so far. And she then went on to tell me how when she was 16 years old, her mother died. And that was what pushed her into starting her first business. And she had a baby very young, so she couldn't really go and look for a job. And she had an amazing story. And 5 minutes before she was telling me this, she was telling me that she doesn't have a story like mine.
Exactly.
It's because people don't realize that everybody has a story. Everybody has something to say. Everyone has those difficulties and those hardships. They're not the same as mine, but that doesn't mean they're any less equal,
We're actually coming to the end of our show. And before you leave, and I agree, everybody does have a story, and I want to make sure that everybody can get a hold of you. So if you want to give out your websites or your contact information that you prefer people to have, I would really appreciate it. And first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for being up in the middle of the night and on our show.
You're more than welcome. So, everyone can reach me at mattkinsella.com, which is MattKinsella.com. Or you can email me at matt@mattkinsella.com. Anybody that wants to, more advice or just to talk to me, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. People don't realize how accessible I am.
All right.
And how I'm really happy to talk to everybody. So, get in touch. And hopefully you've got the link. I sent you the link as well, Lori.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you can put it on your website for people, but
I
wrote a blog post particularly about this. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and everybody stay tuned for The Dirt next week, same time, same place.
Fair and balanced.
It all comes down to this. The final contest.
A lot of people are worried that maybe they wouldn't have a place in Donald Trump's America.
The final chance to win your vote.
We have a divided nation because people like her, and believe me, she has tremendous hate in her heart.
And one of the most trusted, experienced names in news moderates the candidates before America decides. Watch the final presidential debate with moderator Chris Wallace, October 19th on Fox News Channel, America's election headquarters.
We're mixing business with politics to give you the bigger picture on Fox Business Network, featuring dynamic political programming that has more people tuning in than ever before. Special reports from the team viewers trust: Bartiromo, Regan, Dobbs, and Cavuto. And from the debates right up to the election, expert insight and smart analysis you won't find anywhere else. For political coverage that's on the money, it's got to be Fox Business Network.
Trees and power lines are down in the Northwest as a powerful storm blows through. Thousands are without power in Oregon and Washington state. The National Weather Service says winds are gusting above 50 miles an hour in the Portland